You're watching special CWT News. It is an informational program of the international public movement Change the World Together. It is time for cardinal changes, and that's why we start with thanks to all those who already today understand what PRIZM is, what it is created for, and what horizons it opens before each of its followers. Thanks to all of us. So, when the world economy fevered during the transition from one global economic crisis to another in about 2011, from the highly specialized forums for programmers, the first information about a completely new phenomenon named Bitcoin cryptocurrency was released. Just a few people took it seriously, however, such information did not pass without a trace. It stirred consciousness and gave hope to all those who believe that modern world order is inherently untrue and the root of all evil is a monetary policy with its opacity, bureaucracy, and complete separation from reality. Approximately at the same time, based on the idea of just as Bitcoin, the CWT movement was born. Activists around the world began massively to hold educational conferences and tell how with changing the monetary system, it is possible to change the whole world. Meanwhile, the complexity of Bitcoin mining was growing, and distribution of resources in the community was gradually concentrated in the hands of a small number of people who were destroying the idea of justice, influencing the exchange value of the coin. CWT leaders found an alternative to this system, which gave the birth to oligarchs. So the idea of PRIZM was born, where in the system of equals there is no more equal. There is absolutely every community member has the ability to generate coins no matter what. So it was created a brilliant in its simplicity and the most technically complex solution, paramining. This is a method of generating coins by all users simultaneously, and the main parameters of the production rate is the individual contribution to the scaling of the network of PRIZM followers at 888 levels in depth. In February 2017, the first fair cryptocurrency PRIZM was launched. In 2017, all the internet and cryptocurrencies conferences were full of projects that raised funds through ICO by selling tokens, which liquidity was determined only by information hype and advertising budgets. Released for the project Ethereum-based tokens and the influence of mass advertising flew at the crypto exchange rates 25 times and then fell into zero. Investors suffered enormous losses and deliberately unviable projects were dying at the idea stage. And PRIZM cryptocurrency developed, thanks to a unique algorithm, paramining. We took off and constantly gaining altitude. Thus, all the more annoying those who remained on the runway. It became clear that if PRIZM is not stopped right now, then its idea of paramining will absorb everything, and there will be nothing more than PRIZM. And they started a war with us. Throughout the year, they committed a DDoS attack, hacked us, looked for loopholes how to influence paramining in order to illegitimately generate PZM coins. They created phishing sites through which brazenly stealing coins of users. And we in turn, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, fought for the idea of PRIZM and the technology of paramining. After each attack, we identified vulnerabilities and released software updates that worked better and more stable. However, on the 23rd of July, one of the peripheral developers who was responsible for creating wallet.prizm.space reported the following. On the external interface of the wallet, the main task of which is the local generation of keys on the user side without data transmission anywhere on the network, the standard random number generated Java was used. It is quite safe if the attacker does not have input data about the moment when the key is generated. But we are dealing with a cryptocurrency system in which the overwhelming numbers of users, after generating a key in a very narrow time interval, received the first incoming transactions to activate the paramining. And this time everyone can see looking into the public blockchain. Logically, we can assume that we have a very limited time interval, starting from which the attacker makes it 10 times easier to select the generated private key. If the user has crossed the phishing link to send the signature of his browser to attacker's hands. We repeat, the keys at the time of generation were not transmitted anywhere, and the generation system itself was safe enough, if not for the human factor and the PRIZM development model, which it was impossible to predict at the time of creation. Thus, in the new version of wallet.prizm.space, all the current shortcomings were decided to be turned into dignities and that very notorious human factor to make an additional degree of protection. The new version of the lighter PRIZM wallet uses a hybrid randomization of the private key. This means that the key is handled from 3 parts. The first part is generated on the server side wallet.prism.space. The second part is generated on the user's side by the browser, the most secure randomizer. And the third part is added by the user from the mind. Only letters from A up to Z are allowed. Next, the user collects all 3 parts and saves them as one key. So we get a completely unpredictable private key, which guessing is impossible. If the previous version of the keys had a potential threat to all users, then the current one is just perfect. However, to provide for this miscalculation at the time of creation was impossible. Only the experience gained over a year and a half allowed to identify all the potential vulnerabilities and eliminated them until the attackers did this, which would be able to destroy everything that has been created. The urgently convened meeting of developers lasted several hours. By the morning, a decision was made to isolate the main branch of the blockchain to which wallet.prism.space is tied, and to contact the forgers with the request to disconnect their network nodes. Promptly started work on creating a new version of the blockchain system with the introduction of all the accumulated technical and logical solutions. All of this not only improves the efficiency of network nodes and forging, but also increases the speed of synchronization and stability of the network, and also reduces of mathematical miscalculations in the core of paramining. Solving the problem of key generation and realizing that absolutely all the wallets will have to move the coins to exclude the possibility of thefts in the future, thereby breaking all the connections of the followers. It was decided to make all possible improvements in the core of PRIZM. One of the key improvements is a tenfold decrease in the load of mathematical calculation in the core of paramining, reducing the number of levels tenfold to 88. Such a measure will certainly lead to a lot of criticism, but it will allow the system to work stably even if it has 10 billion users and a trillion transactions. The core will work stably without causing discrepancies when synchronizing nodes. The block size and the number of transactions in the block are configurable and don't relate to the core. Therefore, as necessary, it will be possible to easily update the nodes and increase the number of transactions in the block to any value. So, on the 27th of July 2018, an updated PRIZM blockchain was launched, with the initial generation of exactly the number of coins that was in the old version on the 24th of July 2018. The work was not easy, as it needed to be done in the shortest possible time, making it more difficult for potential intruders to interfere with the procedure of coins migration from the old blockchain to the new one. So, a new blockchain version is launched in an isolated network. Only data for CoinMarketCap, wallet.prism.space, and blockchain.prism.space are sent to the outside. Migration is performed after the association of old wallets into users' emails through an external wallet. The procedure for migrating coins into a new blockchain is very simple. The first thing to do is enter your private key passphrase. Then you will be asked to migrate the coins by confirming it with a transfer key that is generated by the user who has passed the migration procedure. This will allow the entire community to systematically, in 5-10 days, restore their balances and maximally complicate the actions of scammers who try to intervene in the process. The migration process takes several days, after which the new version of the blockchain is located on quarantine in an isolated network for another 13-14 days. Further, new version of nodes are transferred to crypto exchanges and exchange points for starting work. And already on the 14th of September 2018, on GitHub the nodes will be available for download. After completing the migration, we will be able to swirl the first page with an introduction and start writing the first chapter of a newest world history in which PRIZM will be known as the first fair cryptocurrency. Mindful refer the following information. The transfer rules of PRIZM transfer keys. It is strictly forbidden to publish transfer keys in chat rooms, forums, and other publicity available resources on the internet. Don't give the transfer keys to those you don't know personally. Under no pretext, don't give transfer keys to strangers for chat rooms. When you give the transfer key, ask the recipient to go to video call on Skype and take a screenshot of the screen, which will clearly show the person's face and the document with the photo. Don't give the transfer key if the recipient refuses to show the document. Before you give the transfer key, be sure to make a transaction to the wallet of the person to whom you transmit the key with the message containing the sender and receiver information. Get all the contact details of the person to whom you give your transfer key, phone number, Skype, email at least. Securely save the screenshots and/or photo you received, and with any reason do not publish them on publicly available resources on the internet. These measures are necessary to identify fraudsters and thieves who can potentially interfere with the migration of PRIZM coins. By publishing these rules, PRIZM developers completely disclaim responsibility for the migration process. No complaints about loss of coins will be accepted. By observing these simple rules, the entire PRIZM community will be able to identify fraudsters and thieves. And if these rules are not fulfilled, marauders will intervene in the migration process who are only waiting to seize the keys and steal the coins. Your coins. The data you collected does not need to be sent anywhere. Any mailing with the request to provide the collected data are tricked of scammers. Developers of PRIZM have never done any mailing and will not make so. Technical support in PRIZM has never been and will be never. Trusted domain only www.prizm.space. And now about the rules for obtaining transfer keys. It is strictly forbidden to receive a transfer key from an unknown source. Anyone who offers you a transfer key can be an intruder who will try to enter trust in order to get your old or new private key. Be vigilant. Before receiving the transfer key, ask the transmitting site to go with you to Skype video, but the ideal conditions for transmission the transfer key is the personal meeting of both migration participants. When you receive the transfer key, you don't need to provide any data other than the address and public key of the new wallet, the phone number for communication. The number should be checked by the call directly at the time of transfer, email, and without fail, take a photo or screenshot during the video call with proof of identity by demonstrating and document with a photo. Dear PRIZM followers, the developers bring you their deepest apologies for the current situation. We highly acknowledge our mistakes and make maximum efforts to correct them. But since PRIZM is a completely decentralized system, we cannot perform migration without user participation. At the moment, we feel your support and immensely grateful to you for this. The migration procedure is an operation which success depends only on users' behavior. We don't collect personal data. All PRIZM migration rules are a prerequisite for ensuring user safety. Already today you can observe how resentful exclamations and frank provocations come from all sides. Don't succumb to them. Most likely they are made by marauders wishing to confuse you to make unforgivable mistake that will endanger the loss of coins a huge number of PRIZM followers. We repeat, photos with documents are not sent anywhere, but are stored by users until the end of a complete migration of all PRIZM coins. This is done solely so that, in the case of controversial situations, the community can solve them independently. It will not be possible without providing photos and contact data. We have nothing to be shy about. PRIZM is the first fair cryptocurrency, and its followers are one big family. Those who don't want to submit their data can wait until the last migration day on the 15th of August 2018. On this day, from 10 p.m. until midnight, the request for transfer keys will be turned off and you will quietly migrate the coins without communicating with anyone. The procedure itself will occur through a specially developed system, transfer.prizm.space. To make a migration, you will need the following: a new wallet created on wallet.prizm.space. If you had several wallets, then create the same number of the new ones. Email created on gmail.com. A new address is required for each transfer. The public key from the old wallet created before the 24th of July 2018. Transfer key for each wallet. Transfer keys in the amount of 5 pieces are sent by email to everyone who completed the migration of their coins. After receiving a letter with transfer keys, user will be able to transfer them to their followers, clearly following the transfer rules of the transfer keys in order to exclude haste and possible provocation of marauders and scammers. Be careful. Safety and success depend primarily on you. on the 5th of August, PRIZM cryptocurrency founder and the chairman of board of the International Public Movement Change the World Together, Mr. Alexei Muratov, started the working tour in the cities of Russia. Meetings will be held every day on the schedule that you see on the screen, in plans to visit 8 cities in total.